In today's video, we're going to be talking about Sav and Esme. Both are born in China and were adopted during the one-child policy. Sav was adopted and now lives in Ireland, and Esme was adopted and now lives in England. Now, these two ladies have never met each other. Esme did her big one. She published an article with the Times sharing her life story, her adoption story, just the whole process. And Sav, who has been on TikTok sharing her life story, her adoption story as well, saw the article and said, "Oh my gosh, are we twins?" Now, instead of going and searching for Esme, maybe on TikTok, on Instagram, possibly on Facebook, and saying, "Oh my gosh, like, we have like a similar story, let's connect, let's share your story," or "Can I share your story?" Sav said, "It is now mine. It is now mine. I'm gonna talk about this story like it's mine."
Oh no!
Sav has her own stories to share. Now, are their stories somewhat gonna be similar because it was during the one-child policy? Yes, it is. However, Sav said, "I'm gonna make another video sharing my life story, and I'm gonna take the words from your article word for word. Yes, bar for bar." I thought I was tripping. I was on my bed looking at the article and looking at what she's saying, but I'm glad that Esme already edited the video to point out exactly the words she was using. They're from the article. Anyway, let's just take a look.
I was one of the millions of Chinese babies that were abandoned during the one-child policy. The one-child policy was introduced in 1979 by China's Communist Party to curb population growth and boost the economy. It was stopped in 2015 and limited families to only one child per family unless you were in certain rural areas where you maybe were allowed 2 children. It has since been revealed to be a mass contraceptive program that has led to mass sterilizations, female infanticide, back alley abortions, kidnapping, and the abandonment of millions of baby girls. All I wanted was to be normal, to have blonde hair and blue eyes like all my friends. I didn't choose to look like this and try to distance myself from anything that made me look different. I learned to do my makeup a certain way and make my eyes look more round and more open as I used to think. In my teens and early 20s, I used to measure my self-worth by how many matches I got on Tinder or how many boys I was texting at the time. I gave so many second chances and accepted the bare minimum because I was scared of them leaving me. Now I celebrate being different. I celebrate my dark hair and my almond-shaped eyes and the way that my skin glows in the sun. When I was younger, I didn't understand why my parents didn't fight to keep me. But now, after doing research, it's clear that many parents gave up their children out of love or fear rather than by choice. I have imagined a childhood in China and being raised by my biological parents and wondering would I still turn out the same way that I am today. I'm jealous of my friends who can trace back their ancestry to decades ago and people that can know their exact rising and star zodiac sign. I also feel guilty for thinking that, and I'm grateful for the life that I have now. Guilt and gratitude are side by side. The question that comes up a lot for Chinese adoptees is, would you go back to China? Would you find your birth parents? Do you want to find your birth parents? For many of us, our birth parents remain a mystery, and it would be a shot in the dark to try and find them. Part of me is curious, but also part of me has made peace with having unanswered questions. And to be completely honest, I'm a little bit scared of what I would discover. I'm kind of scared of why they abandoned me, like what were the reasons, how their lives have unfolded and moved on. Did I have brothers or sisters, and were they sad about it? Were they heartbroken? I made peace with not knowing the answers to everything. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and listening to my story.
So yeah, her story. Now, like I said, she has her own story to share. If anything, she could have just said, "I got this from an article and I can relate to it. Let's talk about it." Something. But no, she just did a little get ready with me and bar for bar, word for word, plagiarism. And I don't know about you, but I was taught plagiarism back in primary school. You know, a teacher would always say, "Oh, it's bad to plagiarize somebody's work because you're taking from their own experiences and you're making it their own. You're stealing. You're pretty much stealing, and stealing is a no-no." Now, back in school, you'd probably go to detention, you'd probably sit at timeout, something. But as an adult, you should know better. So after discovering this, Esme did this.
So naturally, I commented on her TikTok, I commented on her Instagram, and then her husband has messaged me saying that I'm self-absorbed, saying that I'm not special, and just basically asking why I'm not celebrating her story. I'd just like to say, I would love to celebrate her story. I think it's so important that we talk about adoption, belonging, identity, love, relationships. Like, I applaud her for talking about it before. But you can talk about it in a way that's not reciting word for word someone else's work. Taking someone else's work and passing it off as your own, especially their words, is crazy to me. And then the fact that I've messaged and called her out and they're in denial, her and her husband are in denial that this is her story. I'm shocked. I'm speechless. I'm angry. I'm upset. Like, what world are we living in where you take someone else's work and claim it as your own?
You'd be surprised how many people have stolen from other people. You'd be surprised how many brands have stolen from small creators. Now, Sav has 20K followers, I believe, and Esme is about to hit 10K, I believe. And this is important because now you've shared her story with your audience, which now discredits you for stealing her story. And even your followers were asking you what is real, because that is what happens when you steal. Now they don't know what to believe. And you are a bigger creator than Esme. You could have collaborated with her. Y'all could have, you know what I mean? Like, y'all could have made this something good for people to watch and understand, you know? But instead you decided, you know what? I want this story. Come on, like what? That's crab mentality. It's one-sided crab mentality because Esme's trying to live her best life. So they weren't taking accountability. And I say they because the husband, the creepy husband, and y'all realize why I mean creepy, they weren't apologizing. They were standing 20 toes down. I had to make sure everybody has 10 toes. Y'all remember when I said 2 pairs of eyes? If you've been here for a while, you know. I just laugh at myself. We're gonna go into the comment section that she had. Esme says, "Hey girl, thanks for regurgitating my article that I wrote for the time." You know, I'm laughing, but plagiarism is not funny. It's really not funny, and it's very serious. I don't care what anybody says. It is very serious. Have you heard of plagiarism? She asked, and somebody says, "This is word for word an article that was in the Times this weekend." Saf says, "I read that article," but she denied it. We're going to talk about that though. "We have similar stories, except she is now in New York in England and had siblings and her parents are separated now. And I was also adopted at 10 months from that area. I'm an only child and went to Ireland. I read her story." It continues. I didn't have time to grab it, but she did. The husband, Sav's husband stepped in. I understand it when you have pressure of people coming for you, and instead of just being honest, you're deciding to double down. You may want a support system in that time because you feel like the world, at least your supporters, are against you, and so you lean to somebody you know. But the husband stepped in the business, and he texted her and said, "There are millions of people with similar stories. This experience is not unique to one Asian person. Instead of hating, try bonding over the shared experience." Tell your wife that. How about you tell your wife who read the dang article? "Many more people will continue to share their stories on social media in the years to come. It won't be bar for bar, I'll tell you that." See, she couldn't even mix it up, put it in her own words, something. It's like she did kind of put it in her own words, but for the most part, it was bar for bar. Whether you like it or not. This is crazy. This is crazy. What are you going to do? Sue all of them? Especially when you were not even the first to tell this kind of story on a public platform. It is important when you make a mistake to make sure that your spouse knows that you made a mistake, and not to double down and sit away from social media together on the couch and lie to him. Because now he's gonna defend you until the wheels fall off when you know you're wrong. If you truly believe there has been plagiarism or intellectual property infringement, feel free to serve a notice. Otherwise, move on. From the loving husband who has all the time for haters, trolls, and the self-absorbed. Now, how Esme got the news is that one of her friends were on TikTok and they saw Sav's story and they were like, "Oh, this sounds like Esme's story. Maybe they can be friends. Maybe they can collab. Something good, you know?" And the friend sends the video to Esme. And then Esme was like, "Wait a minute. This sounds like my story." And long story short, they discovered that it was bar for bar, word for word. Homegirl said, "I'm not switching it up. I'm going to switch my attitude up once you find out that I stole your content." Homegirl has a little knowledge about having things stolen from her, but we're going to talk about that later. Now, Saf saw all the backlash that she was getting, and she had a caption that said addressing the comments. So she finally had something to say. This is how she was justifying her plagiarism.
I didn't want to be different. I just wanted to look like everybody else, as most girls do at that age. I actually got into makeup because I wanted to change my Asian eyes.
How long did you wait to adopt?
We applied during the summer of 1996, and we actually flew out to China in May of 2000.
When you look at it, it is kind of northeast. So when they say it's like northern China, it's like the northeast of China. Having to explain to people why I look like this and why I have a completely Irish accent, I really just wanted someone to look up to that wasn't blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Growing up, there was always a part of me that was curious. On my birthday, I always wonder if they think about me. I wonder if they ever wanted to find me. I always knew it wasn't a possibility as I was left on the church steps.
Kind of short, but she explained this by having a compilation of all the videos where she has spoken about her adoption, her life story. You have your own story to share. It's you acknowledging that you read the article and then soon after making a video that has word for word what her article had said. That is it. That is all. You can have two stories that are similar, but word for word, that's a little fishy. That video is not done though, because y'all remember the husband I was talking about? Yeah, he had something to say. Well, he first stares down the camera and then is given the opportunity to speak.
So recently I've been getting a lot of comments, so I'm going to address them now. So the problem is her story and her experience is also my story and experience. I was adopted from Wuxi, from Jiangsu province at 10 months old also. It is also very common for adopted children to have gone through all these feelings and experience bullying. I have talked about my story previously in videos in 2024, and I've also talked about the one-child policy and its...
I don't know what he thinks he's doing. We're just... What are you doing, sir? Are you trying to be tough? Are you trying to scare Esme? Like, I don't get it. That's weird. That's really weird. He's just there. Like, your name was not mentioned not once, but here you are.
repercussions, which I have added at the beginning of this video. I saw some comments saying that I'm getting paid for these videos. No, I am not. I did not steal her story or benefit from any compensation.
Hello, everyone. I am the husband, and my wife didn't steal anyone's story. This has forever been her story. I just find it outrageous that someone would say that she stole a story because they have similar circumstances. There were millions who were adopted during this time, and probably millions who have the same story. You can fact check with the dates in all these videos. To say that my wife stole all the stuff she's been posting for the last 2 years from an article that was posted less than...
See, I would get this if they were in the right, you know? Kind of like a double whammy. Haha, I got my husband and me here proving that we didn't do anything, or she didn't do anything, whatever. But she knows. She knows.
A week ago is... it's insane, you know? I mean, there's not much to say aside from the fact that people are out there trying to paint my wife as a nut who stole her entire identity and story from someone is insane. When the dated proof is there that my wife has been talking about this for almost 2 years now. I mean, like 36 plus videos. 36 videos are just what she has in an adoption album. I don't know how else to put it besides that this has forever been my wife's story.
Honestly, the issue I see here is honesty on Sav's side, because what is happening now is that you're telling your husband you didn't copy, you've always done this, and all he knows is, okay, maybe you didn't even tell him that you read the article. Okay, maybe you didn't do that. Or maybe she did say, I mean, I did read the article, but it's still my story. It's a similar story. I didn't copy it. It just happens to be the same thing. You know what I mean? And now he's on here looking a fool and doubling down on the entire situation. And he doubled down. He tripled down on the situation. We're gonna watch that clip in a bit, but let's get into Esme. So the next video is from Esme, and she says, can't thank everyone enough for the support over the last days. It's meant so much to me. Sharing such a personal piece has been terrifying and so vulnerable, and having someone steal my writing as their own has been wild. That, yeah. I can go all in about plagiarism, but just know it's just bad. Would love for everyone to read my words and the Times link in bio, and I'll also link it in a pinned comment.
The past 24 hours has been actually insane, but I just wanted to thank everyone for being so supportive and so kind and just backing me. I can't believe that my video has got over 1 million views. The Queen Julia Fox liked it as well. I feel really starstruck right now. I watched her response video this morning and it's just baffling. Like, I can't believe that they're spinning the narrative that this was her story and she's spoken about it before. Like, that's great. Like, I love that. That's not the point. The point is you've retold your story using my exact words, and that's plagiarism. I feel like I've really tried to laugh this situation off, but on a deeper level, it is so frustrating to put in so much time and effort and emotion into a piece that's so personal, and then have someone lift extracts and almost force it to fit their own narrative. It's insane. Anyway, update is that the Times have emailed TikTok and TikTok have taken down the video. So yeah, thanks everyone for the support, and read my article on the Times.
So yeah, the only reason the video was taken down was because the Times wrote to TikTok and TikTok took the story down. So if it wasn't for that, she wouldn't have done anything. Now, she did issue an apology, and then the apology went away, but then it came back. I think she archived it and then put it back. And this is what Sav had to say.
Hi everyone, I've reached out to Esme to apologize to her personally, but I owe you guys a big apology too. What I did was wrong and I'm sorry. I've done some reflection and I'm deeply sorry for using some of someone else's words in a video to tell my story. I have of course taken down that video, and I'm really sorry. It was wrong and I did not mean it in a malicious way. I am really sorry for the hurt and upset that I have caused, and I'm sorry for casting a shadow over my true lived experience and anyone else's true lived experience as an adopted child. All of the experiences I've spoken about were true. I did not steal her experiences, but I did take some of her words, and for that I am wrong, and I will do better in future.
And that is it. That is all you should have did. Just apologize, take the video down. You didn't take the video down. You only took it down because it was forced to be taken down. But you guys can have the same story. You can have the same shared experiences. Word for word, bar for bar is almost never. Almost never. But I think this is just a life lesson for a lot of people. If you are inspired by somebody else's content or whatever, get inspired, but make it your own, you know, like twist it into your own or something. I've seen so many people create, let's say, AirPods, and the other person also creating AirPods, and they have no idea, and they finally meet and they realize, oh crap. In this situation though, that wasn't it. It definitely wasn't it. This was bar for bar. Sav was taking notes like, But she apologized. And a lot of people weren't satisfied with her apology, so that she was looking away. It looked unpleasant. My thing is, she apologized. I wish she would have done it sooner. Just take accountability. Swallow that accountability pill. I have water if you need it. It is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, but I said it time and time again, and I'll say it again. I'll say it all the time, actually. It will either break you or it will build you. So always make sure you take accountability. Now, the wife has apologized. People are saying the husband should apologize too, because, sir, you took your grown butt, sat on that chair, knowing, maybe you didn't know, that your wife was lying. But nah, remember I told you that this guy tripled down? He said, never back down, never what? Never give up. If you're on TikTok and you know that sound, this is what he had to say.
So there's a narrative out that I threatened this girl, which I didn't. She messaged my wife saying she was taking legal action.
I'm sorry, but was this zoomed in, or is bro just that close to the camera? Back up. I thought it was an edit for a second, like it's gonna pull him back or something. That would be wild. And an apology, and you have edits. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of a lot of influencers that have apology videos. Maybe we should do a compilation. Anyway.
Action, or the Times were taking legal action against my wife, and I simply came to the defense of my wife. I never once threatened this girl. There are millions who have these same experiences, and to say that my wife stole her story was outrageous, which is my own personal opinion, and I stand by it. Also want to state that there will be no apology from me. I have nothing to apologize for. I will always come to the defense of my wife, always be on my wife's side, and always stand by her, no matter what it is. And that is not something that I'm going to apologize for. people are saying, oh, you fun being your wife's lapdog and listen to everything she says and this and that. What else should a husband do aside from come to his wife's aid and be on her side? But one thing people are not going to do is go around and say that I threatened someone. I didn't threaten anyone. You could read the message. It was a response. I didn't just message her out of nowhere. She messaged my wife first and started commenting under my wife's socials. But I will always be on my wife's side no matter what, and I will always defend her. And I will always come to her aid. And if that makes me a loser or a horrible person or whatever it is that you guys want to call me, then so be it. At the end of the day, I am married. And I do have my vows to my wife that I will be with her no matter what. You know, through thick and thin, through the bad and the good. And I will always be there and be on her side. And yes, we are married. It wasn't the big wedding yet. You know, I'm still a student, so I'm still saving up to give her the wedding of the...
What does that have to do with anything? I don't care. Respectfully, I don't care. I'm married too, and I'll tell you this because y'all are definitely younger than me. Y'all have a lot of growing up to do. You can say you had your vows, you have to stick by your side, stick by your wife's side. I can't even talk. Y'all have some growing to do, understanding to do, how you need to correct each other in private, and then come on here and apologize if you were wrong. Correct her, teach her if she doesn't know, and for her as well, correct him, teach him. Don't embarrass him in public, but also honesty is always going to be the best policy. So it all goes back to Sav. When y'all sat down, if y'all sat down in y'all's living room couch, on the floor, in the garden, wherever, on the freaking roof, somewhere, was she honest and said, I read the article, I did the video, I'm embarrassed that people are catching up to my plagiarism. What should I do? Did she say that? Or did she come to you already defensive with her evidence? You could be married and all of that, but honesty will take you a very long way. And I don't just say that. I'm saying it because I've seen it through the lenses of other people. Disrespectfully, with a teeny bit of respect because you're human, grow up. Now, y'all remember in the beginning, I said something along the lines of, you know how it feels to get something stolen from you. Homegirl has a little knowledge about having things stolen from her. I want to thank my Anti-Delulu members for always showing me love. And if you would like to enjoy early access to my videos, make sure that you hit the join button. If you are on your last oodles and noodles, don't you dare touch that button. Don't have FOMO. You'll be okay. The video will come out eventually. Now, this is an unfortunate event, and I'm really sorry that it happened to you, but I just want your husband to go back and watch this video if he has it. Where, actually, let me have you say it.
Guys, I just got robbed. So I literally had my stuff in my locker locked, and I came back to get my stuff to go home and it was gone.
I know this is almost different, but honestly, it's not, because plagiarism is the very same way. You have safeguarded your things in a locker thinking you're good to go, and then somebody comes, runs in, and grabs your stuff from you. That is exactly what y'all did. Y'all, because your husband decided to put himself into this. That's what y'all did. When y'all decided to make the Get Ready With Me video, and y'all decided to take extracts from her freaking article, and y'all decided to hit post together. Y'all are a unit, right? Okay, then I'll say y'all. It ain't just Sav, it's the husband too.
So I emailed Flyfit about getting reimbursed for the things that were stolen out of my locked locker. And this is his response. So basically it's saying a whole lot of nothing.
Now the video continues, but I really wanted to focus on those two parts of it. How she went through a lot of things in order to make sure that they get CCTV. They try to see who did the thing, and she either gets her stuff back, something, some satisfaction, something in return for what was taken from her. Oh, it's almost like Esme was doing the same thing when she was reaching out to y'all. Nah, it ain't to Sav anymore because bro decided to put himself in the equation. So yeah, shut up. Take accountability, just be honest, and continue living your life. Apologize when you're wrong. It is a hard pill to swallow, accountability, especially when you have doubled down, but I'm honestly glad that your wife was able to actually stand on top of accountability and apologize. You, on the other hand, you should have never been part of the equation.